Compass Mining is your trusted partner in Bitcoin mining. Whether you're investing in one machine or thousands, our customizable solutions are tailored to meet your needs. We are your experts in Bitcoin mining, offering a platform where individuals and businesses can purchase hardware, host machines, and access a range of ancillary Bitcoin mining services. We also specialize in large-scale site development and data center operations. Discover more at compassmining.io and see how we can power your success today. Hey miners, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, the new home of power mining analysis. Here we have it, Thursday morning. Bitcoin has once again hit a new all-time high, now surpassing $98,000 US. However, the miners continue to struggle. They're up, they're down, they're in, they're out. In today's video, we're going to find out exactly what's happening here, and is this the end for the Bitcoin mining sector, or do we think there's still life and we're going to see that ultimate recovery or rally we've all been waiting for? That's the topic of today's podcast. Before we get into it, take a second, smash the like button. Big help to myself and the channel. Anthony loves it. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join and let us know in the comment section below how you're feeling about the market right now. If you're on the MicroStrategy side or the Bitcoin miner side, and your outlook for the final few months of 2024. Now, with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay, guys, so that's right. Onward and upward. That's the tail of the tape for Bitcoin once again this morning, now eclipsing $98,000 US, getting ever closer to that $100,000 six-figure psychological milestone in US dollars, Anthony. However, as I said in the intro, the miners continue to struggle. Extremely interesting trading today. They were up huge pre-market. Then all the miners pulled back in unison. Now they're starting to creep back. Our good friend Rex put out a video yesterday talking about the end of the Bitcoin mining strategy, contrasting it to MicroStrategy and now Marathon. And in today's video, we wanted to give our take on that exact same situation. So Anthony, thanks for being here today. Looking forward to this one. First and foremost, Bitcoin nearing in on $100,000. What do you make of this tremendous run we've seen since Donald Trump won the election?
Yeah, we've said now for a number of weeks on the podcast, 100,000's imminently going to happen. It's a case of when is it today, tomorrow? We've got everything right so far. Yeah, it's just, it might even go today. I mean, I was surprised at the market today. You've already said, it's been like a yo-yo today. We were seeing green pre-market, significant green pre-market for most of the in fact, all the mines were green pre-market, the ones that we analysed. And then market opened in the US and it just turned. It just literally turned on its head there. Marathon dropped, it was up 13-14% pre-market, and it dropped to, lose all those gains. And then you're right, we've seen it start to pull back, and the Bitcoin price, as we speak now, is above $98,000 a coin again.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah, I'll bring up the visual of Marathon. That one stood out to me specifically. We're going to come on to Marathon in a second here, especially as they adopt this MicroStrategy approach, these convertible bonds, which Rex talked about in his video as well. Before we do though, Anthony, the mid-morning market update, you mentioned Marathon leading the pack. They're back up double digits. So up double digits pre-market, down into the $22 range, now back up double digits. So talk about volatility, holy moly. But in terms of the mid-morning market update, it's just about split now between red and green, starting to move back in favor of the miners.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about the amount of volume in Marathon stock today, over 120 million shares last time I looked, 122 million I think it was last time I looked, and there's still about 3 hours of trading to go. So yeah, really high volume trading. Bitfarms, I think, was second. That Bitfarms is over 60 million traded. So there is some real shenanigans going on with some of these miners. And we know there's a lot of short interest in them. And it may be that some of the market makers are playing this to try and get the best prices to get back into the market, and then see the Bitcoin miners run in the same way that Bitcoin's run, because we haven't really seen the miners run of late. There's been a couple of miners. We've highlighted the ones, Core Scientific and TeraWulf and Hut, all reached their sort of 52-week high in the last few weeks, but the majority of the miners are still effectively nearly 50% below their 52-week high. CleanSpark was at $25 back in March. It was at $12 today. $12.50, went all the way back down to $12. I think it's just above 13 at the moment. So that's 50. That's got a double in price to get to its 52-week high, which is the same time as its all-time high. From a market cap share price perspective. And then you've got other miners out there that, like Riot, like Hive, massively away from their all-time highs as well. So there's a long way to go, but we've seen the Bitcoin price hit all-time highs literally on a daily basis for the last few weeks. I mean, I said in a tweet yesterday, it's been relentless. When it got to 98,000, it's relentless. It's just a case of when now to 100.
Yeah, it certainly is. So I want to explore this situation a little bit more detailed in today's podcast. So as Rex said in his video, and it was a great video, very high performing in terms of views. So credit to you, Rex. Essentially talking about these convertible bonds. So essentially how a bond works is you loan someone money, you buy the bonds, and they pay you a percentage or interest on that bond in exchange for the money. Generally, it would be low single figure percentages. Now, what's gone on in the case of MicroStrategy, up 800% this year, which we'll come on to in a second, and now Marathon adopting this same strategy, is they're saying, hey, instead of giving you that percentage return or interest on your money, essentially, we're going to give you a convertible bond. So we're going to give you the right or the option, essentially, kind of like a call option, to buy in or convert your debt to shares in the future at a predetermined price. Now, this is obviously very valuable in a company like Marathon or MicroStrategy that's going up in value, market caps increasing rapidly, because this gives you the opportunity in the future, sometimes 2029, 2030, multiple years out, to get in at a discounted valuation closer to today's price than where it may be trading in the future. A very interesting strategy. And what's happened with MicroStrategy is the more that Michael Saylor does this, the more hype's built into the stock, the more the NAV ratio goes up, the share price goes up, more people want to lend money. So it's just a self-fulfilling snowball. On the other side of the coin, we have the miners, and that's what we focus on, Anthony. Obviously, they're able to produce Bitcoin at a relatively fixed cost. They've got infrastructure, data centers, which is very valuable to HPC, AI. They offer a whole different set of opportunities or a proxy to Bitcoin. So the question is, which one is better? MicroStrategy's obviously been winning so far. Bitcoin miners lagging behind in a big way. So MicroStrategy, we have a chart here, up 800% year to date. Miners, as you just alluded to, Anthony, many of them aren't even close to their 52-week high. Q4 has been great for the miners. We're running our Miner Madness competition, but even in Q4, Hut 8, as of yesterday, was the top performing or returning stock. They're up 99%, which by any other metric would be phenomenal in 45, 50 days. But compared to MicroStrategy, they're really paling here.
Yeah. I mean, I see that. I also see the fact that we're sort of only literally 5 weeks away now from the end of Q4 or the last quarter of 2024. For some miners, it'll be Q2. For some miners, it'll be Q3, and even it might even be Q1 for a few miners. So that end of quarter will be significant for a number of miners, and specifically those miners have got a hodl. So I mean, you just mentioned Hut there. Hut have got over 9,100 Bitcoin. The price at the moment is $98,000 per coin. It gets to 100,000. Let's say 100,000 by the end of the year. Be 100,000 probably in the next 2 days. But let's say 100,000 at the end of the year for ease of calculation. And that gives you close to, I think $37,000 increase in the value of Bitcoin at the end of Q4 than it was at Q3. So they've got 9,100 coins. And, that's going to give them an unrealized gain, certainly in the sort of, over $300 million as part of their accounts. So, when we said Q3, and we forecasted this on many podcasts that the miners would be red, and they were all red, with the exception of Hut actually, who had a gain of 1 million, albeit it was helped by a couple of one-off payments totaling about 17-18 million dollars. So that really helped them, but it was still a gain, so they can stick that down as a green quarter. And bear in mind, many of these miners, if you look at the last 8 quarters, look at the last 2 years, there's probably only been a few of them that have had, more than 2 quarters in the green. So Bitcoin mining, we've had a bit of a challenge over the last few years. We've been through that bear cycle. We look like we're coming into a bull cycle now. And this first big quarter bull cycle, I mean, we talk about Hut at over 300 million in unrealized gains. What do you think Marathon Digital is going to have as an unrealized gain? It's going to be over $1 billion. $1 billion in unrealized gains, the value of their Bitcoin. So if they buy Bitcoin with this $1 billion that they're going to receive from the convertible notes, that's going to get them another 10,000 coins. That will take their total heading towards 30 with the production for November, production for December. That's going to take them over 38,000 Bitcoin. And 38,000 Bitcoin with a rise of about $37,000. And that's literally as at today's pricing. That might go 110, 120 by the end of the year. The rate it's been rising, who's to say? People say, well, we said it, there'll be a pullback at 100 because it's a number that everyone's sort of planning to sell at. Well, I mean, we'll come on to this in a second. I don't think many people are actually thinking about selling at the moment. So I know one person who should have sold and maybe hasn't sold yet, but we'll come on to that later. And
Oh,
so
Anthony.
So Marathon with this massive realized gain with having that Bitcoin on the balance sheet, the market will like their numbers, no doubt. It will shroud any other issues in terms of how much it's cost them to mine the physical production in Q4, because we know, looking at their previous quarter figures in terms of mining cost, they're not the cheapest miner by a long stretch. And they are the biggest miner. So they're not really benefiting so much from economies of scales. They do have still a significant amount of their coin is being mined in hosted facilities. So you're paying a bit of a hosting fee for that there, and you haven't got control over production. So we know they've had production issues as well. But believe you me, there's some massive gains for those that have hodled. And we've always said before, if the Bitcoin price is going up for a bull cycle, and those that have hodled are in a strong strategic position because it gives you more levers to pull to potentially grow even further through that cycle.
Yeah, it certainly does. So you poke some fun in terms of selling. Now, what happened here this morning, you guys? Anthony and I start texting about 5 a.m. In Western Canada time here, Mountain Standard Time. I woke up, Anthony said, guess what, bud? Bitcoin's over $95,000. You just told everybody you're going to start selling at $95,000. So I gave it some thought. I actually put it out on Twitter. Over 4,000 people viewed the tweet. So I guess a lot of people are having this same internal discussion with themselves. You're right, Anthony. I had a plan to start selling my Bitcoin mining stocks, not Bitcoin at all. Both you and I are not selling Bitcoin. Bitcoin mining stocks starting at $95,000 US. The thinking was Bitcoin at 100,000, that psychological barrier, a lot of people would start to exit the trade and we'd get a pullback. So I'd want to obviously have some profits on the sideline. Fast forward to where we're at now, 12 months later, after making this template or plan. We've got Trump in the White House. We've got a strategic reserve. Our friend Dennis Porter is leading that up. We've got nations around the world following suit. We've got Russia, China unbanning Bitcoin. We've got Elon Musk teamed up with Trump. The stage has changed quite a bit. So on the one hand, I feel like, hey, why would I sell? The miners haven't performed as expected. I feel like they're still suppressed. Bitcoin hash price, which we're going to talk about, is moving in the right direction. Fundamentally, these are good investments. Why would I sell anything? On the other side of the coin, that's the whole point of a plan. If you don't stick to the plan and a black swan event happens, like a China mining ban or who knows, World War III, the whole situation changes. So my question to you, Anthony, is what would you do in my situation? And then we can start to explore where we think this trade may go in terms of the rotation and timing here.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when we had the conversation this morning, literally every miner was significantly up in pre-market, and that's why we're having a discussion then. And I suggested like to trim some areas, get to take some of the profit, let some of the free money ride a bit longer, but at least get some of your investment back there because we know that these stocks can change. I mean, I was thinking of selling on the 8th of November. There was a real good run on the 8th of November, and you don't make that decision quick enough. It turns and stocks can drop 20-30% in a blink of an eye, and the opportunity is lost really then. And so you think the next time I'm going to make sure that I do. And I remember going back to just before Christmas at 2023 when there was a really good spike with the miners then. And I missed that boat, and I said to myself, never again. And I said to you this morning, this year I've had 20, I counted this morning, 20 sell trades this year of mining stocks, and made sure I took profits in every one of those trades. And yes, in certain instances I've bought some of the stocks back when the prices dropped there, but I took 20 sell trades, all of them in profit. And not like, not in the terms of percentages that some people are quoting here. Do I wish I was in MicroStrategy? Yes, but I'm in the mining space. MicroStrategy's, risen from $300. It was up to nearly $550 today in pre-market. It's dropped now. I think it was 460 the last time I looked at it. So that's had nearly a swing of the best part of, $80-90 in a day. And that's what can happen. You make a decision and think, well, it gets to 540, 550, I'm going to sell. You don't sell. 10 minutes later, it's down into the 400s and you've lost that opportunity. You think, well, I'll wait for the next time. And in 2021, people were waiting for that next time and it never happened. It kept going down, down, down. So, I think, the plan should be still there, whether it's today or not, maybe not, but we're seeing this, this rally through the 100,000 mark. I think it will keep going. I don't think we'll have a big pullback. And I think the mining stocks at some point in time will start to rally positively and start correlating more in the same way that my MicroStrategy is correlated and the likes of coin have correlated to Bitcoin price.
Compass Mining makes Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone. Start mining in as little as 48 hours with our turnkey hardware, online and mining directly to your Bitcoin wallet within 2 business days. Find out more at compassmining.io and get started now. Sure. Yeah, it's definitely put me in a difficult situation. I'm not too bad at picking stocks, but selling them is definitely difficult for me, which is why I was trying to take the emotion out of it. I think ultimately what I'll do at this point, Anthony, is sleep on it for the night, see how tomorrow goes, and make a decision on Monday. I do feel the macro situation has changed enough that it may warrant relooking at this. However, my plan at this point is to peel off 10%. All the miners equally. At this point, I'm not sure if the HODL, no HODL, vertical integrate, asset light, who knows what's going to win the race here. So probably peel off about 10% off the top, all of them, and flip that over to Bitcoin on my new Ledger cold storage wallet that I learned how to use. So now with that settled, Anthony, moving along into the discussion, MicroStrategy versus miners, which proxy's the best? Our good friend stock trader Max put a tweet out, is the money going to start to rotate from MicroStrategy into the mining stocks? And we've got a plethora of tweets that essentially say the same thing. Either when is this going to happen or they expect it to happen. 57% of responses said, yes, it will happen and very soon. Now, this is the side of the fence that you and I sit on as well. Bitcoin miners, unlike MicroStrategy, have an underlying business that's correlated with Bitcoin. They've got infrastructure, they've got mining rigs, they've got other assets that appreciate with the price of Bitcoin. And the big one for me, yes, they've got high expenses at times. Yes, CapEx can be a bit high. Yes, compensation can be a bit high. However, they can mine Bitcoin at a relatively fixed price. Machine efficiency is improving, and the next halving is still over 3 years away. So they're through the thick of it. I like to say it's darkest before dawn. It's been a tough year on miners. They're through it now. They're refreshing their fleets. We're entering a bull run. I think we're going to see those multiples we saw in the last bull run.
Yeah, and if you think about the hash price today and what it was in Q3 during these earnings, they were probably, scraping about $40 a day per petahash, the miners during that quarterly period. So, that's why margins are really short. Some of the margins from these miners were talking single digit gross margins. That's not even taking account of any overheads. That's purely energy and any supporting direct cost to mine a Bitcoin. Then you start looking at other costs like your G&A, your staffing costs, your legal costs, your professional fees, your travel and subsistence budget, stock compensation, depreciation. It's, these costs here. Now, this Q4 will be a different game because, even today at $63, that's a massive premium. That's over 50% premium in revenues. And who's to say what the Bitcoin price might end up at, and might give them some more revenues between now and the end of the year. That might get to 65, might get to 70. Bear in mind, before the halving, the hash price was round about the 100 to 110 mark. So if you think about the halving, 55 would be half of what they were receiving before the halving. So 63 is a premium to that. And we expect that that there'll be a significant rally of Bitcoin. If it's not this year, it'll be into next year through the whole of the rest of the bull cycle, and that hash price will start rising, but maybe not rising like it rose in 2021 in terms of where miners were achieving significantly more for each petahash per day. I mean, in some of the months there, for short periods, it got to like $400 per petahash per day. That's literally sort of 7 times what we're talking about today, but that was a different era, and we're managing now. But bear in mind, these companies now have got machines that can mine Bitcoin with an efficiency of less than 15. We heard Bitdeer yesterday, their second generation machine being tested now is delivering 13.5 underclocked. And miners will use that. They'll underclock those machines to get the best efficiency out of them, get the best return. IREN have got the lowest efficiency of all the miners at the moment, and we looked at their October update. It was just over, I think it was like $20,000 per Bitcoin to mine in terms of energy. Maybe add another 20,000 in terms of overhead. That's $40,000 a coin in simple mathematics. If you're getting $100,000 per coin, and you're spending 40,000 to mine it, that gives you a $60,000 net profit. I mean, we haven't had their results yet, so I don't want to preempt them, but I'm just talking about the actual physical cash costs. There will be depreciation, there will be stock compensation. But if you look at the cash costs coming in, the revenues coming in, and the cash that they expend, physical cash they expend going out there, they could have in Q4, this next quarter, or the quarter that we're in at the moment, 60,000 profit. And there's a couple of other miners that are in that same boat as well. Even some of the miners that are less efficient will still be bringing in big profits during this cycle. So, it's really positive for the miners. And this is why I think the miners have still got that play to come. They've still got that time to bounce back. Yes, people will move out of MicroStrategy. I mean, MicroStrategy it's just been awesome. It's been phenomenal. I saw people taking money out at the beginning of October because it had raced all the way to $300, and they were taking some profits then. And what was it this today? It's 550 today. That's $250 increase in the space of about, just over a month. And so it's just amazing. But can it continue with that premium? If you think about the premium for Bitcoin, I think it's like more than 100% premium on the actual Bitcoin they hold. So there's an expectation that Bitcoin more than doubles in value to give it that price. I don't know, but the miners at the moment are probably not having that same love from the retail investors, and that will come. We've seen it happen before. We've seen this decoupling, and then all of a sudden, a few weeks later, there's some big rallies. We know there's some suppression at the moment. The market makers out there they're playing this game out there. There's so much short interest around there that these stocks prices have been driven down there. People will be able to get in, institutions will be able to get in these stocks at really low prices and then watch them rise and make nice profits out of them. And hopefully hopefully some of the retail investors can get in on that as well.
Yeah, a very fitting close to the episode, Anthony. Said perfectly. A quote I like to say, what goes up must come down. And at some point, these frothy valuations, you say 2 times, I think their NAV's closer to 3 or 4 times the Bitcoin value now, Anthony. At some point, people are going to start to take profit. Bitcoin's going to turn. Something is going to happen. As they say, if it's too good to be true, it generally is. You let us know in the comment section below, though, which trade do you think ultimately will be the most successful this cycle? One final thing I wanted to say as well, Anthony, we've just concluded the majority of our Q3 earnings interviews. So make sure you guys go in there and take a listen. In each and every one of those, there's a handful of nuggets that I can remember off the top of my head. Very interesting information if you're looking to make investment decisions. And then tomorrow, we're off for our regular podcast. However, we have the CEO of Compass Mining on talking about some expansion, some vertical integration, and the secondhand ASIC market as we move into this bull run. So, a very interesting discussion there. Anthony, a long weekend for us. Bitcoin is encroaching on $100,000 US, likely to hit over the weekend. Time will tell if the miners or MicroStrategy come out on top, but we'll be here to watch. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a great weekend.